in a tough spot in there with Clay peppering him, and down he goes. He was in a bad spot.
Down to the fight, he took the mandatory 8, and now Ali is behaving like the old Ali.
Attempting to hang on viciously. He's trying to hang on. He's out on his feet. Ali puts him. A right hand off the left one.
The world has never seen an athlete as influential in civil rights as Muhammad Ali. In a way, his career was a vehicle for pushing his own beliefs. While Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and Nelson Mandela used nonviolent speech and some violent influence in pushing for reform, Ali used his own success and media attention to do the same. His acts are timeless. While also becoming a global boxing icon, Ali permanently opened a social platform through athletics and set a precedent for other athletes by using his career to stand for African Americans, Muslims, and many other groups, both then and now. Ali's success began in his childhood and adolescence. He was born Cassius Clay in Louisville, Kentucky on January 17, 1942, to Odessa O'Grady Clay and Cassius Marcellus Clay Sr. Although he was born amidst segregation, Clay witnessed many triumphs for rights as he grew into adulthood. When Clay was only 5 years old, Jackie Robinson joined the Brooklyn Dodgers, becoming the first black man to play Major League Baseball. This was a key moment that would prompt Clay and other black athletes to make inroads into sports. Clay found inspiration and mentorship in the career of a renowned boxer before him, Jack Johnson. The heavyweight champions at the time were white and refused to fight Johnson. However, they eventually agreed and Johnson won, becoming the heavyweight champion. Johnson endured the struggle of racism in his career much more than Ali did, since this was the era of Jim Crow laws.
Well, Jack Johnson, in the 19-teens, was a physical and intellectual challenge to ideas of white supremacy.
However, they both were able to use their success in the boxing arena to bring a stronger political message, advancing the rights of many African Americans by breaking through racial barriers in athletics. Clay began his boxing journey when he was 12. He was angered over getting his bike stolen and said he wanted to whoop the thief. A police officer nearby, Joe Martin, introduced him to boxing, which he picked up quickly. This incident was the origin for an amazing career to come. When Clay first tasted racism at age 13, it only fueled his passion for fighting. This first taste was the death of Emmett Till, a 14-year-old boy who was lynched for flirting with a white woman. Clay's father ingrained into both his sons strong animosity towards whites and white racism from a young age, a hatred that Clay took with him into the ring. Clay started his boxing career in 1954 against Ronnie O'Keefe. He won in a split decision. He went on to win 6 Kentucky Golden Gloves, 2 National Golden Gloves, and even an Olympic gold medal in Rome by the age of 18. Coming home full of pride, Clay showed off his gold medal, proudly wearing it around his neck. But his enthusiasm soon disappeared when he supposedly entered a whites-only restaurant and was refused service. Out of frustration, Clay threw his medal into the Ohio River. From a young age, Clay displayed intrepidness towards expressing his beliefs and views, which made him stand out from most at the time. By the age of 22, Clay had become a renowned professional and fought against Sonny Liston for the title of heavyweight champion of the world. 2 days after defeating Liston, Clay converted to Islam and also changed his name to Muhammad Ali, a name in which he found liberation from the racist shackles of society.
Now that I'm a Muslim, now that he gave me the beautiful name of Muhammad Ali and took away that slave name of Cassius Clay, now I can go all over the world, all over the world.
This conversion now allowed him to represent both black and Muslim communities as a public figure, giving them a voice and allowing him to respond to the racism that existed during the time. Ali was bolstered by the Nation of Islam, which shared some of his early convictions about separation between blacks and whites. Ali used his fame and popularity in sports as a platform to spread and express his beliefs. He was a strong opponent to racism, a social activist, and an opponent to the Vietnam War as well. His beliefs in his early life, however, involved lots of drastic racial separation.
No intelligent white man in his or her right white mind want black boys and black girls marrying their white sons and daughters.
Ali famously opposed the Vietnam War. He didn't believe in violence, especially against those who did no wrong.
Shoot them for what? They never called me nigger. They never lynched me. They never put no dogs on me. They never robbed me of my nationality, raped and killed my mother and father. What I'm going to shoot them for what? How can I go shoot them? Them little poor little black people, little babies and children and women. How can I shoot them poor people? Just take me to jail.
He was heavily influenced by Martin Luther King Jr., as both men opposed war and supported rights for all minorities. These beliefs led him to decline his draft notice. Subsequently, he was convicted and imprisoned for 5 years, stripped of his boxing title, and was not allowed to continue competing, losing his peak years of boxing. Although he returned to the ring after winning back his rights to fight, Ali had still lost the best part of his career. He eventually retired from boxing on June 30th, 1979. Later in life, Ali converted from the Nation of Islam's beliefs to a minor sect of Islam known as Sufism. Along with transition of faith, his beliefs changed as well. Similar to Malcolm X, Ali had stopped supporting racial separation because of his religious beliefs. In 1982, Ali was confirmed to have Parkinson's disease. He remained a public figure, touring Africa to help Jimmy Carter with the protest of the 1980 Moscow Olympics. In 1990, he traveled to Baghdad to negotiate the release of hostages, and returned successfully. In 1996, Ali lit the Olympic flame in Atlanta. In 1998, he worked alongside actor Michael Fox, who was also affected by Parkinson's, to raise awareness and research for a cure for the terrible disease. In 2002, he was hailed as a UN Messenger of Peace and sent to Kabul for several days on a goodwill mission. In 2005, he was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by George Bush. However, as time progressed, Ali's condition worsened, and so did his public appearances. He succumbed to Parkinson's slowly, becoming less mentally sharp nearing his death. Ali died on June 3, 2016. Ali left a significant mark on the world even after his death. He encouraged others to join him in his efforts to protest for their beliefs. Athletes Tommy Smith and John Carlos both had their Black Power salutes during the 1968 Olympic Games, raising their fists and bowing their heads during the national anthem. Although they were received harshly by some, they were treated greatly by others, who praised the peaceful and silent parts of the protests. President Obama called the men legendary and invited them to visit the White House. Ali's statements and success brought racism to a national spotlight. In protest to recent violence, like rioting in Ferguson, Missouri and Baltimore, Maryland, many organizations and athletes have taken action. Some college football teams protested against police brutality incidents. Inspired by Ali, Colin Kaepernick and other NFL players kneeled during the national anthem and used their popularity to spark change. Ali's decision to stand up against racism in the 60s and 70s became a precedent for other athletes today to use their careers and support their own beliefs. One of the most important features of Ali's amazing career is the way he used it to help others. Ali was a man of the people, connecting to the individuals that were often disenfranchised, being poor subject to racism. During his Rumble in the Jungle fight in Zaire, he lived and stayed with the native people in the days leading up to the fight. His actions show an allegiance to the people, making him unlike many other athletes and others who tried to advocate for similar beliefs. In the United States, he became a leader for other black men and women. His personality played a factor in this leadership role. Ali's personal life and embracement of Islam also allowed him to connect with Muslims as well. Ali joined the Nation of Islam organization in 1964. Its members included Malcolm X and other activists. However, he also converted to Sunni Islam about 10 years later, in 1975, and somewhat renounced his former beliefs of racial separation. He later converted to Sufi Islam in 2005, showing the evolution of his Islamic beliefs throughout his life and allowing him to connect with many Muslims, not necessarily those with the same beliefs. Ali was shaped by the racism and civil injustice he faced at a young age. His encounters with racism led to the formation of many of his beliefs and what he stood for as a man. He is widely regarded as a civil activist due to his various actions in supporting his anti-racist ideas. Ali's religious endeavor and his conversion to Islam also changed what Ali stood for, as he now became a representative of both Islamic values and religious freedom. Muhammad Ali's rebellious nature can only be explained by his very beginning, which spurred an amazing boxing career. He used his personal achievements to speak in support of his own beliefs, while including those of blacks and Muslims alike. Ali took a stand for his beliefs, setting the stage for athletes' expression through sports, and paving the way for others to follow in his footsteps. As an iconic black boxer and a practicing Muslim, his career and actions give both the black and Muslim communities a larger voice. As a result, he directly inspired many others to follow in his footsteps and expand the civil rights movement drastically, taking new angles to solve new problems stretching all the way to today. He achieved success both through boxing and pushing a larger, stronger message that aided blacks and Muslims tremendously. This allowed him to become an inspiration for others to come and give a voice to those who were before left voiceless.